No, you guys just
but
keep
yeah,
talking.
basically, yeah, I feel really bad for the one Alex, but yeah, man, glad we got in when we did. Cool. I'm excited. We can talk some handball while the growing.
You'll have to educate me because I know nothing about it.
Vice versa, man. Neither do I. We're pioneers in the field.
Back in my day, we used to ride these puppies for miles. That's what the pioneers used to do. That's my SpongeBob joke for the day. So,
I picked it up.
Okay, good. I'm usually just shooting blanks out there, you know. Just goalie shots always go uncontested. So, all right. So this is gonna be interesting. So let me get my normal shtick. Do re mi fa sol la ti do. Unique, New York. Unique, New York. The Human Torch acquired a bank loan today. The quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog. You guys got any other, vocal practices there? No? Artie, big shout out before we even start the show. Everybody go check out the chat. Mishi's coming out hot with our new emoticon. I'm just like so pumped now. We got it. I'm ready to go. Welcome back, shooters! For our fantastic Team Handball Tuesday edition of Shootin' Straight, a handball podcast brought to you by JD and Joey. This fine Tuesday evening, we're joined by a friend of the program, Alex Goldberg. Alex, how are we doing this fine Tuesday?
Good. I'm COVID good, so I'm hanging in there. Excited to be here. This is the first podcast I've ever been on. I'm an avid podcast listener, and excited to be a part of one. Finally, I feel like I'm overdue. I don't really have too many profound things to talk about. Yeah, handball maybe being one of them.
We'll find. You're 20-something living in the coronavirus pandemic. How have you not been on a podcast yet?
I don't know. Like I said, I'm trying to think of the things I can talk about. Losing at sports betting.
We can talk about that.
Amateur golf. And handball, my handball experience in law school. I mean, like we just said, just trying to hammer through my last year and get a job.
Beautiful.
Start making some money.
Goldberg Williams, PLC, specialty in handball law. I like the sound of that.
There you go.
It's got a good ring to it. So, and I almost forgot.
How are you doing, man?
I didn't even get a chance to ask you. Man, this is so weird. I'm never the one on the hot seat. I'm doing okay. We had some little handball practice here with the Dublin Lux. For all the kids out there. Can't promote alcoholism for the kids. But I got my random Team Handball Tuesday shout out here. It was good. It's a good, busy day. Had nothing but meetings from literally 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. So it makes the day go by real fast. Everybody thinks meetings are super productive, but you don't get anything done. So, man, weird how that works. Just my own tidbit.
Usually the opposite.
Yeah. So I got some random topics down below. As you guys know, I mean, if you haven't seen the show, definitely just look beneath my beautiful face there. But Alex, you're talking about coming on a podcast and being a podcast guy. 60 years from now, when you got your grandkids or your great grandkids, you can be like, hey, I was on a podcast back when it was the dawn of the podcast. So you can take that one to the grave. Yes. Especially since we're just going to keep lining up big name guests.
At that point, you guys will be.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Which brings me
to I'm striking while the iron's hot.
Exactly. Get in now.
Buy low, sell high.
Which brings me to my next point, shooters. This is a public service announcement to all shooters, so please listen in. For those of you that don't know, we have made the affiliate level of Twitch. This is when we start making some serious cash monies. So we beg you, with every ounce of our being, to please subscribe. For those of you that, I don't want to pay $5 to just be a member of your chat. Well, lucky for you, if you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription a month. So go out, give us a subscription. That money goes directly to our nonprofit that Joey and I are using to help grow the sport of team handball in our area. So it's good. It's for the greater good. Just keep that in mind. So if you have questions about how to subscribe, just come find us. Sorry, go ahead, Joey.
You're good.
All right. So
I'm not officially, I just want to say I'm not officially affiliated with the nonprofit just for legal purposes, but JD is, and that's cool. And we're doing it all for the cause. So any support you can give for the cause.
Greater good. The greater good.
So Alex, tell us a little bit about yourself, man.
So I'm from Virginia Beach, Virginia. I graduated from James Madison University in 2017, where I was connected with the sport of handball. I took a year off, did some international travel, did some Uber and Lyft driving, did some nonprofit work in New Orleans. And during this time, I was applying and touring law schools. And exactly. And now, fast forward 2020, I am in my last year of law school at Drexel University in Philadelphia. And just trying to get through this pandemic like everybody else, keep myself occupied, have a full day where I'm not just sitting at my desk looking at a computer screen for 8 to 10 hours straight. It's tough, Joey. I'm sure that you can relate.
Struggle is real.
So, yeah, just trying to do whatever I can, get out of the house, reading books, working out, running up and down those rocky steps. And yeah, exactly.
I've done it.
Exactly.
I've done it once.
Every day I'm there. I mean, I'm telling you, I'm running up and down, and there's probably 30 to 40 people in like that hour stretch that are, somebody's holding the camera up and the other guy's running up the.
I did it.
It's funny.
I went
just
full
stairs,
full
guys.
tourist,
Come on.
full tourist mode. So.
Yeah. What percentage of those people do you think have seen the movie?
Oh, jeez.
You had to guess.
You tell me, man. Do they look like they've seen
I'd
the
say
movie?
37%. 37.
I feel like that's probably a good number.
The full movie. You got to watch at least all of Rocky 1. Maybe you've seen parts of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Rocky Balboa.
Parts.
Whatever.
I'll tell you what, if you see any Rocky, see Rocky 4. That will get the red hot American blood going.
Okay.
But I tell you what's an underrated Philadelphia sports movie, Invincible.
I was about to say the same thing.
Oh my God. Vince Papali.
Oh my gosh, that guy. When he
a true Disney movie.
Man,
a true Disney movie.
Right up to seriously.
When they're like in the yard and like it's all muddy or snowy, I don't even know where it is.
Oh
and
my gosh.
he's just going off. Oh, chills, man. That's South Philly right there.
Big time. Is that where you're from?
No, well, I lived like dead center city, the middle of the business district.
Okay.
But South Philly is where you find like the true Philadelphians,
throwing
and
batteries,
the Hoagies and the diehard Eagles fans. I mean, just crazy shit. Like it's nuts.
Well, Alex, I got a question for you. Are there any car parks that are like muddy that instead of playing a football game like they did in the movie, you can play a handball game? Is that anywhere in your neighborhood?
That's not a bad idea. Not directly in my neighborhood, but I mean, the city of Philadelphia has, they have a number of parks, and that's really not a bad idea. Maybe I'll have to send a conch shell out to my Philadelphia friends and the Drexel Club sports people maybe can put a line out for me. Maybe not COVID times, but it's not a bad idea. I've never played outdoor handball. Tell me about it.
It's an experience.
If it were any more fun, it's incredible. It's every time I play outside, I don't want to say every time. It's just a good time overall. Good vibes. Get the music going.
Yeah.
Going.
How does like the dribbling of the ball like work? Because I mean, I assume you're not playing on like a artificial turf where it would be a perfect bounce every time, or are you?
Depends.
Sometimes. I mean, it just depends. We found a tennis court that had futsal lines on it. That was like, it is
perfect. Yeah, it actually is.
You can make do on grass or turf. JD, how about you? What's your process?
So like it mixes. So I don't know if you ever heard of Flanders, Alex, but it's the best tournament in America. That's an all grass tournament. It's in Flanders, New Jersey, but you play with cleats. So cleats on cleats, people jumping, getting cleated. That could pass, but like we all play goalie here, so it's really not bad. I honestly like playing in cleats.
Yeah,
from a goalie perspective. But then we most of the time just practice on basketball courts. It's usually what we do. So, or just in a parking lot.
Yeah.
You know,
JD, I feel like I've seen you like playing on like the beach as well, right? I mean, I wasn't imagining that.
Nope.
So are there different dribbling rules for when you're playing on a beach?
It's a totally different game, man. Beach handball.
Give me the spark notes.
You get 2 points for alley-oops, spin shots, and what they consider a spectacular goal. So that's 2 points. Dribbling, you can just roll the ball in the sand as your dribble. But otherwise, I mean, you could dribble. You really don't want to because you don't know where the sand's going to bounce it. But yeah, that's pretty much. There's no contact.
Okay.
And it's 3.
So a spectacular goal.
Yeah. So whatever the referee decides is spectacular.
Pretty subjective. Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Nice. It's like figure skating crossed with handball is what it sounds like.
It's there's some uniqueness to it. I'd say like gymnastics almost, like a little floor routine action there.
That's better.
Yeah.
That's better.
You're not trying to take your skate off and stab somebody, so that's we want to avoid that. Yeah. I think what might come as a shocker to you. Did you know that Philly has a handball team?
I do know that Philly has a handball team because the manager or the coach, I'm not sure what his position is. During my first year here, like 2 years ago, he reached out to me a couple times.
How did he find you?
And I was a 1L in law school, so he was at a tournament maybe at North Carolina, and he ran into the JMU team handball team, and I guess this is after I was gone, and I guess somebody on the team, it was very serendipitous. Somebody was like, yeah, our founder, and he lives in Philadelphia. You should hit him up. He plays goalie. And the guy was like, oh, I think we need a goalie. Maybe, I think they exchanged contact info. We texted back and forth for a bit, but I mean, like I said, I'm sure Joey can understand, like when you're a 1L in law school, I just didn't have the time. And when I had the time, I didn't have the desire.
Mm-hmm.
And, But I do know they exist, and yeah. I mean, what do you know about them? Do you know personally those guys, or have you played them? Or are they?
Joey and I have both played for them, so okay. You could have been the triumvirate to our goalie posse at 19 Nationals in Myrtle Beach. Yeah, Gabby is he's a unique bird. He's definitely means well. He tries really hard. He just doesn't, I think, understand the normal American mentality with handball. So he really struggles to grasp that.
Meaning he's just very intense about it, or
no. Or he's just passionate. Yeah. He's not coming off. He just doesn't understand that it's a casual game for us, and that it's more than just a game for him. So.
Yeah.
So I totally understand where you're coming from. That's why I was curious if you even knew that Philly Team Handball existed. I mean, Gabby, he quit his job. He quit his full-time job to do handball full-time in an attempt to make it a full-time business.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what Sports Vibes was. He started an LLC called Sports Vibes, and the intent was to make all his money on Sports Vibes. He had a pretty solid job, as a medical device salesman or something like that, or a translator.
What's Sports Vibes, JD?
That's his company that's supposed to, I don't know. He tried to explain it to me. I'd never understood it. It didn't add up to me. It was
pyramid scheme. Handball pyramid scheme.
I don't know. I'll let you lawyers
interesting
tell me on that. What's
I don't understand what the monetization is. Is it he's got a storefront?
You and me both, man. I don't know where the money was supposed to be coming from or how he was supposed to make a living, but it was tough. I was like, Gabby, don't quit your job. Dude, this is not a good idea. I mean, the path that he was relying on, and he had partnerships with the Madrid Handball Federation, which was the Madrid County Federation in Spain, and he'd met with them and brought them to Philly, and he basically wanted me to get him $10,000 to pay for some other stuff for upfront costs. And I was like, Gabby, I'm not just going to come up with that kind of money for whatever plan that you don't actually have. So yeah, he means well. He just doesn't have all the pieces lined up. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So we'll get there, but yeah, maybe if you stick around in Philly after done with school, maybe then you might have some time to pick it up. But
Coach him up.
yeah.
Yeah, and I hear too, like F1L was bad. Like once you like start off at a law firm, like if you're bottom of the rung, it's easy.
You got so much time.
Yeah.
So much time.
You're gonna love life.
Crack me up.
Joey, what'd you do this summer? COVID limiting options, were your plans derailed? What happened?
I just kind of didn't do it. I didn't really have any plans as far as like a legal job goes. And
Yeah.
as much as I was just laughing at Gabby for trying to do handball full, I was like focusing on handball this summer.
All good.
But
Do you have sorry to take this away from handball,
let's hear.
but
Go.
do you have like a direction you want to go in terms of what kind of law, or thinking about what you might want to do next summer, or anything along those lines you're interested in?
I mean, besides handball, my second biggest passion is probably bird law. It's an up and coming industry now.
Shout out to Jeb.
I make jokes to like give myself time to think.
Pretty good.
No,
It's a hard question to ask. I've been asked that 100 times. You could probably imagine.
I'm gonna flip this right back on you in a second here, Alex. So be ready. But yeah, I think just continue to work on handball. We actually, funny enough, have gotten some headway as far as like getting into the Boys and Girls Club and like establishing an actual like organization. So it still seems crazy, but it's just a little bit like it's crazy.
Joey and I are cooking, is what he's trying to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Pretty much that. And then my family has a business. That's how I'm making money. I'm like pouring my mom coffee, basically. Well,
it's a business.
Gotcha.
It's a business.
How about yourself?
So, well, for follow-up question before I answer, I'm not running away from the question, but
who's asking the questions here, Alex? Me.
I'm fine. I'll answer yours first. So I think I'm going into real estate law. I think I'm working at a real estate firm right now.
We need a real estate attorney. Just FYI. I'm going to need you in a couple of years.
Hey, give me a ring. You got my phone number.
All right.
So yeah, that's the goal. I worked at an insurance defense firm this summer, and it was all. I mean, it's all virtual, which kind of sucks. You don't get that person experience. But I realized, while I really like the people, I wasn't really interested in doing that kind of law. It's pretty much as boring as it sounds. And I was more interested in real estate law because there was like a physical aspect of it, like the design of a building. There's like community interactions. Do these people want this I don't know, 4-story modern all glass building in their traditional South Philly neighborhood where it doesn't match, those kind of like ethical and community issues.
What about
That's
a handball arena in the middle of an empty field?
Not about like in a bubble, maybe like one of those tennis bubbles.
Nope. In a full-on
Brick and mortar.
arena. Yeah.
Not a bad idea. I think Philly. I'll tell you, Philly, of all cities, I think they could be talked into it because I read somewhere that they're opening the first like full-scale esports arena in the United States.
Yes, it's part of my plan.
Insane.
It's so
like right down by where all the other sports stadiums are,
which is in a giant parking lot. Like
yes.
For those of you who don't know Philly, it's like they did it like it's just the craziest setup. Like you get off the train station and like you're right in the middle, and then there's a huge like bar complex in the middle of the parking lot, and then it's just like Eagle Stadium,
yes.
Philly Stadium, and then like the 76ers and the Flyers, just like all in one one-stop shop.
So there's there's now, as if people in that general area weren't belligerent enough with the bar, like you mentioned. There's a casino going up in the parking lot.
Oh my gosh. Dude, we
and
spent like 7
said,
hours at that bar. Like we spent a long time. Because there's like 3
Xfinity
bars.
Live.
Xfinity Live.
Yes. It's a madhouse. But now there's a casino. There's apparently like a 10,000 seat esports arena coming in. I say all this to get to the point that the Billion Esports Arena, I mean, handball arena is not really out of the question.
So let me ask this one. I'm not spinning it off of Philly, but what if I already had the idea of an esports handball arena in Columbus, Ohio? Because we already started cooking that, and then I talked to my boy Mark Ortega in Amsterdam, and he's touring.
He's like the big dog.
Yeah, he's touring. He just went on a tour of a like $40 million esports handball arena that's sponsored by Heineken, and they're pretty pumped about that. He's like, JD, this was your idea, and I was like, I know, but they have real money, and we just have JD money, so we gotta work on that. So,
well, I guess my first question would be, how did like the marriage of handball and esports happen? Because, I guess handball is understandably way more popular in Europe, but it just seems kind of like a random marriage, doesn't it? I mean,
absolutely.
They're not like, they don't occupy the same space.
So my logic on it was that the infrastructure to set up an esports facility, it's very simple. They need a stage, they need Ethernet hookups, they need good bandwidth, some computers, some tables, and then you just need stands for the fans. Well, if I already have the stands for the fans and I just roll there, the way I picture is kind of like a, I don't know what you call it, like a stage. You roll out their stage, you set up their tables on the stage, you wire in your Ethernet cables, and that's all right there on the handball court. So then when you don't have an esports tournament, you could just have your normal handball games, you have your normal basketball, volleyball, futsal, etc.
Not a bad idea.
So, and esports right now, like you said, Philly is going to have, I think the first, and Vegas is not far behind them. So you got Philly, Vegas, and then there's nothing. So Columbus is next.
I'm sure there's a void you can fill. I mean, that's crazy, and good for Heineken for picking that up. I mean, there's going to be no shortage of beer sold at either of those events.
That's for sure. That is for sure.
Which, as much as I love both video games and handball, I'm sure a nice Heineken will enhance the experience tenfold.
True.
So are they sponsoring this podcast, or are we giving them free advertising?
We are.
We'll work on that. That's what our lawyers are for here.
I have to send them a
little bill. Yeah.
So Alex, I'm going to turn the tables on you here, man, because I feel like I've been getting interviewed and nobody wants to know about me.
I like to ask questions.
But
I like it.
Tell me the Alex Goldberg story. Like, how did you get involved in team?
Sure. So, in high school, I played a little bit of baseball and tennis. And, I played all the typical youth sports growing up: basketball, flag football, soccer. And when I got to college, I didn't, obviously, wasn't good enough for the varsity teams, wasn't really good enough for the club teams, but I wanted to find a way to just like have like a competitive athletic experience in college, which, I knew I was going to do with intramurals, which I did do with intramurals. I mean, I played co-ed and all men's league. I loved Frisbee, indoor volleyball. I pretty much, like, me and my buddies, I think probably 3 to 4 nights a week we were playing intramural sports. But, we one of the first seasons was team handball. We were like decently good enough that we were like, you know what, like,
intramural team handball. This is intramural. Oh no way.
Yeah. We looked into it. Does this exist like in other places? There's club sports organizations for 30 other sports at this university, and there's like governing bodies for those sports. So it was kind of just like, yeah, there must be one for handball. I'd learned that there was, and pretty much me and a couple other buddies just like it was pretty much like a full year to year and a half process of working with the club sports crew at JMU, which involved a lot of unanswered emails and going back and forth and back and forth. And it just wasn't a super easy process because we were, the application process for starting a club at the university was here. And the application process for a sports club, which was traveling and playing other schools and like had all these other regulations. I mean, it was way up here. There was a lot more loops to jump through. So yeah, I mean, me and a team of 2 other guys took it on, and we were officially recognized, I think, like the spring semester of my sophomore year, which would have been 14 or 15, 14, 15. And I mean, it was mostly just open gyms where we would have 20 to 30 guys show up. Started to become friends with all of them. We reached out to the UVA team because they were the closest collegiate team and sort of formed a partnership with them. And, that next year, we did like home and home matches with them. I believe that year, like we spoke about earlier, we took our first trip to another university for a tournament at Miami of Ohio, where I think we got spanked. And
you look
we
good
were pretty
doing
much
it.
hooked. Yeah, thanks. We had sweet new jerseys that we really overpaid for. We didn't realize that
They were pretty fresh. I'm not
you get the
gonna lie.
jerseys without the names on them so that you can pass them
Keep
down.
them.
You don't have to buy new ones all the
Exactly.
time.
Exactly.
We were kind of just like not thinking through it all the way. So, and we got to keep them. It was fine.
Yeah. You guys had freaking big lefty. Like, where is he now? Like Tanner, I think.
Tanner.
That dude.
Tanner.
Hey, if you put him and Nick, you put him and Nick like right back, left back, like that JMU alumni team is gonna be a force.
Yeah. I mean, it just so happened that Tanner, one of the guys I started the club with, turned out to be like a legitimately gifted handballer. Like not just for JMU. From what I mean, when we went to other tournaments, like people were watching him because he's left-handed. He's like 6'3". He's a freak athlete.
Got a cannon.
And I mean, that was just happenstance and a blessing. We later, like JD said, this young kid Nick, who was a little shorter, but even like bouncier.
Dude, Nick can jump through the roof. Nick is on the chat right now, so
just what's up? I can't see the chat, but if anybody's shouting out, let me know.
Yeah.
But I mean, he posterized kids. He just literally jumped through the roof, and he was a nice guy. And part of the legacy that we left behind that helped continue it. That was like one of the big things, junior, senior year, me and the seniors, we're like, all right, this was great, but like, it's really going to suck if this dies when we started it, because, like naturally we started it, like we were really passionate about it because this is kind of our baby.
Yes.
But we can't really force that passion on anyone else. It kind of just has to happen. And I'm sure every club goes through that period. And luckily, like the guys who, took over the leadership positions after us were just like all in. I mean, they have like really done a phenomenal job taking it even to the next level in terms of social media and traveling to tournaments. They hosted it, I think, 2 tournaments by now, which we didn't even, I mean, that wasn't even on our radar. I mean, we didn't even think about that part of the process yet. And they pulled it off. They played, I think, in
the Northeast League,
in like one of the leagues, and like the East. Yeah, and I think they had a good turnout.
We played them.
Yeah, I mean, it's and it's a bummer that this fall they obviously not happening. Hopefully, the guys are motivated to get it back going whenever that's possible. I know everyone's probably going to deal with that, but yeah, I mean, listen, having it still exist, like 3-4 years after my graduation is crazy. It's like
pretty cool feeling, isn't it?
Leaving something behind, and it's really, that's like something I'm proud of. It's something that I talk about in some job interviews. It's still on my resume. I think that it like just says a lot of, it says a lot about me and like, you know, um, perseverance and leadership. And it taught me,
Absolutely.
a lot of skills about, organizational behavior and structure
Teamwork.
and working with people and teamwork. I mean, there's a number of lessons. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it was, it was a crazy experience. I could not have pictured it panning out the way it did when I was a freshman. That first week wasn't even on my radar, and now handball's connected to me for the rest of my life, frankly.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. You should be extremely proud of that. Not just in the fact that like, you created. It's so hard to like convince people to be motivated and to steward something to the degree that like a founder does, right? Like obviously you and your friends are going to care so much about it because you started it, but to attract the type of people who would not only care about it but actually put in the work to develop and grow it, like that's just a testament to your character and your ability.
Yeah.
So congratulations. And then on top of that, Alex, you're one of the first Americans that I've met, I think, that got into handball, like not through the Olympics, just through playing it and just through having fun.
Truth.
Like, I admire that as well. It's a different kind of passion for the sport. It's a very genuine. Hats off to you, man.
I appreciate it. I mean, it's just like, first of all, I knew it was an Olympic sport, but it was kind of just like this European thing I never really thought I'd play. But once you're out there on the court, it's like, all right, this is a combination of all the other sports I played when I was a kid. And it's even more physical than all those sports, and it's fast paced. And, it's like, this is perfect. Like, how did this sport is like exists my whole life and I haven't played it? Like, well, why aren't there like you guys? It's great you're starting this. I'm sure, 10-year-old me playing this sport would have been a hell of a lot better when I was in college if I played when I was 10, if the sort of clubs existed, because how could a kid not like playing this sport?
Bingo.
It's like, it's the best of everything.
Couple things in the chat here, Alex, and I have one question and more of a statement. But for those of you who don't know, that when Alex started the team at JMU, and even to this day, they have zero foreign influence. Zero. Is that a correct statement? Don't make me a liar.
Explain what you mean.
There was nobody with international expertise that came in and was leading the team in any way. That's right.
No, but I'll tell you a funny story.
God
that's
bless
true.
America.
But here's something that's funny. So, once we got an internet presence, in terms of we were on the JMU website and we had a Facebook page, I would just get these Facebook messages from people overseas. Do you offer scholarships?
Yeah.
So one kid, Jasper Robin is his name. Maybe he's a professional handballer now from the Netherlands.
Maybe he's watching.
Like Tanner's height, like big dude, handball like savant. He's like, yeah, I'm doing an exchange program. I'm going to be at Bridgewater College, which is a little tiny regional college about 40 minutes from JMU. I'm going to be there for this semester. Can I play handball with you guys? It's like my sport. I play on like a semi-pro team. And we're like, this is junior year. We're just still trying to figure out how to learn the rules and like play the game. We're like, this European, like, is going to come in and rip us up. But he's like, it'll probably be good to see how the game is supposed to be played. So one night, me and my buddy Fozzie, who was one of the founders with me, we drove like 40 minutes picked him up. He didn't have a car. We picked him up. We brought him to practice.
Heck yes.
He practiced with us, and then we drove him back after later that night. I think he had the time of his life. He probably, hadn't touched the handball since then, and probably not after. It was just one practice.
That's
awesome. To your question about foreign influence, if that counts.
Nah, I wouldn't.
Then,
one time is not
it was a funny experience. But, yeah, I mean, we had guests a couple times. I think we had a couple DC diplomats that came and did a clinic with us. We had We had, I think there was a Team USA guy or former that was living in the DC area playing for the Diplomats. That ring a bell to you? Could that be possible?
I mean, maybe. I'm not
Maybe
gonna
he
say it's
wasn't.
not, but he probably
Maybe
said
he
he was
wasn't a
on the
diplomat.
national team. He probably just said he was.
Maybe, but he was a big dude, and he came and coached us up a couple times. We had a professor that came out for like 2 months straight.
Yeah,
I think he had
Tanner
lived in
brought that
Europe.
up in the chat. He said the random professor. So
Yeah, but he lost interest pretty quick. How's Tanner doing? Tanner, you doing all right? When he answers that, you'll have to let me know.
okay. One more thing for the chat before we get to the break, because we're gonna have to get our commercial break in here. But so Nick says that the GOAT president is Marzi. So Marzi baby's the GOAT. So no offense to you, Alex, but he's saying that.
I mean,
Marzi's
I
the
take
GOAT.
a little offense, but David Marzi, I mean, that dude,
he's done a very nice job.
He did a phenomenal job. I mean, he really, exploded the thing, and he was on for 2 years, I think, as president.
He still coaches.
And thank God.
Now.
I mean, that would make sense because I think he's working for the Redskins. He's in the general area.
The Washington football team.
Edit me out. Oh, we're live. We're live. You can't edit that out. The Washington professional football team.
Oh man.
But yeah, great guy. I mean, he was good for the club.
And then I'm gonna pause you on this question. We'll go to break and we'll come back. But Nick wants to name the top 5 JMU handballers of all time. So with that, we're gonna go to our commercial break. We're gonna come back and break that down. All right. So we'll see you guys here in a jiff. Can you hear me? All right. We're not back, but I just wanted to say that this is all jacked up here. So, oh, son of a gun. I gotta go back to the thing. Oh. All right, my mic's here. I know I can say. All right, so we gotta do a little switcheroo here. Dipsy doo dah daroo switcheroo. What is going on with OBS? Man, craziness. Oh, son of a gun. This is bad. Why? Goodness gracious. Sweet dreams are made of these. Who am I to disagree?
You not hear us, JD? Or
oh, I can hear you. I'm just talking to myself because
nope.
There's a lot of issues right now with OBS. It's like.
So, what was your favorite case from property law, Alex?
My favorite case from property law. Are you just now starting it, or are you done with it already? How does it work at your school?
Already took it.
Well, I'll tell you, I hated the rule against perpetuities. That was frustrating.
That's actually my trigger word.
Really?
Trigger phrase.
I took that class now. I took that fall of 1L. That's how they do it at Drexel. So I don't really remember the names of cases. I remember there was one case where a trailer got dragged through somebody's yard through the snow.
We might have had the same textbook. I remember that one.
Possibly.
Like our first one.
We're back live.
Do you have the
now,
haunted house one?
You guys keep chatting.
Yes.
I like Like my two jokes when people ask me what my specialty will be is either like bird law or a haunted house law.
Right. The haunted house one was memorable because the opinion was funny. There was another one about like the lady said she wanted her historic house to be knocked down in this neighborhood, but they didn't because that was against like public policy. I don't know. There were a couple memorable.
All good stuff.
What do I need to know about haunted house law? Because I might be in a haunted house here soon. So.
Oh.
Yeah, I might be scaring people. I've always wondered that.
Can't help you there.
Okay, all right. They're not lawyers.
They're
not lawyers, people. They're not lawyers. They will not give
legal
advice.
Discount.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, we are back. So, like I said, OBS is being a jackwagon, so I apologize, everybody.
OBS is being a POS.
Yeah, that's right, OBS. Yeah. All right, so before the break, we were discussing top 5 JMU handballers of all time. So, Alex, I feel like I have I got like 4 in my mind, but I'll let you give your top 5 because you probably know them a lot better than I do, and I don't know all their names. So,
well, my caveat is that I don't know. I can't speak to anyone that came into existence after I was gone. So I'll give you my top 5 that I played with.
Okay.
So I'll work down from 1. I know you typically don't work that way, but number 1 is unquestionably Tanner. And that dude, at any school with, I just feel like he could have really, I won't say we held him back, but if he was in an environment with like a top-notch coach and great players around him, I think that, like, call me crazy, I think he could have been competing for an Olympic spot. I don't really know the quality of those players, but I just can't imagine.
At the time he was playing, he definitely should have been on the junior team. He should have been on the junior team. And I told the coaches that, and I told them, I was like, there's this guy at JMU, and they're like, what's JMU? So, I agree that would have changed his outcome there. Tanner, where are you living now? Where are you at? We got to find you. You can always sign a contract with the Armada. So, that ship.
I think he did some runs with the Diplomats and also UVA at a.
Okay, so he's still in
a national championship, not a college, like a club championship.
Okay, all right.
2 would be Nick Fedorovich.
Nicky Fed.
Just like a great athlete, super nice kid. You won't meet like a nicer kid, and like doesn't have a mean bone in his body. And just like I said earlier, he had crazy bounce. I don't know if he can dunk a basketball, but I assume he can. I think like he was legitimately considering going out for the JMU football team, which is FCS, but is like one of the best in the country. And I could have seen him making it. Just like, I'm glad he didn't go out for him because we got to keep him for the rest of my time there. Let's see, number 3. Jeez. I'm just looking at pictures, just so that I don't miss anybody.
Tanner, if you're in DC area, it's a shame because we definitely could use you on either the Dublin Lux or the Columbus Armada here. But I'm sure if you play with Diplomats, they'll be happy to have you. Nick says he can dunk a basketball, by the way.
Yeah, that's not surprising at all.
I would be surprised he could put his leg through the hoop.
Yeah. Let's see. Number 3 is going to be
tough.
Number 3 is going to be
Don't be afraid to put yourself. Don't be afraid.
No. Number 3 is going to be Vance Bowman, who
what was his position? Where was he?
He was up with Tanner. He was tall, less like very athletic and like a baseball athlete, had a huge arm. He didn't he played, I think he came to UNC with us once and then played with us a bunch against UVA, but he had a cannon. Like if he didn't have the ability like Tanner to like get off the line and be standing in front of the goalie, But if he let one go, I mean, it was going through. He threw gas. He was actually a high school pitcher at my high school, and I think a very good one at that. And I guess that skill translated.
Cool.
4 is going to be Aaron Foster, who was one of the co-founders. And
did he have like really thick eyebrows and kind of like, I don't know,
goofy
like,
hair and wore the headband?
Yes. He was on my list, so good. Glad.
Oh, just the nicest kid ever.
He had this like spin shot, like no look spin shot thing. Yeah, that guy. Yep.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes, he had the spin shot, which he nailed a couple times.
Yeah.
And even when he didn't, it just like provided us all with a good laugh. He would like just try to send it in at the end of a half. But he was like a floor general. I mean, like he was our point guard, so to speak. And just like good IQ and made good decisions and was there at every tournament. His dad was a big donor to our program, which helped us out a lot. And he's actually in Europe right now. I think he's in Stockholm. He followed a girl over there, the love of his life. And he's like sent me some messages. I mean, he's been to
probably
some professional
games. Yeah.
He's sent me some like Snapchats and text messages, like sitting courtside and
that's sweet.
just like crazy environments in Stockholm.
He should play on a club. I bet he could get his way.
Yeah,
That would be sweet. Like,
yeah,
you could
he's a
even
great
get
guy.
on a lower tier one. You know, if he's not super confident. Like I think we could get him hooked up with somebody.
Yeah, we probably could. He would do it too. I mean, that guy just like he just loves to get out there and like. I mean, he was just wanted to break a sweat and just like have fun, competitive, but not like in the way that is like off-putting in any way. Like he was just out there to have a good time, and he was good, and he was just a fun guy to be around. Everybody liked him. Fozzie was what he went by, Aaron Foster. That's my number 4. Let's see. My number 5. My number 5 is going to be Marzi.
Solid.
I think
pick.
that I don't know if I was going pure handball skill and athleticism, Marzi would be my number 5. But he was great in the corner and showed up to everything. I mean, that means a lot to me because, like you said, like you can't make people want it as much as you want it.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just like 100% in. I mean, he showed up to every practice, to every tournament. He was the president for 2 years. He lifted the club much higher than I ever did. And he was a good player, and he's a freaking great guy. So that's going to be that'll be my number 5. Yeah. I mean, we had a lot of good players. We had a lot of good guys who were in it from the beginning until I left. I mean, guys came and went like I'm sure any club, but we had like a solid group of 12 guys that became really good friends because they were there day in and day out.
That's what people don't realize when you start clubs like this is that what the impact is going to be on these people after the fact. I mean, I know people that became best friends, and they were the best men in their wedding, and people that found their significant other from handball and things like that. And it's like, you just, it's kind of crazy. But your top 5 was pretty close to mine. I had Nick number 1. No offense to Tanner, but having seen both them play and the where Nick's at now, like Nick it's nuts. So I had Nick.
Is Nick still playing?
Yeah, Nick was. I tried to get him on the junior national team last spring. He drove up to Columbus for a tryout, and he didn't make the team. But he was definitely.
Thank goodness though, they probably took a nice kid with an American passport who lives in Bulgaria, right? So thank goodness, good old Nick.
Is that what happens?
Yes, every time.
Once in a while.
I mean, I pitched so hard for Nick because I was like, "You're not going to find a better athlete in America playing handball right now. Done." Like. At his size and physicality, like I'm like a little bit biased, towards some of my guys. Like we have a guy on our team. His name's Dale. He's the president of the parkour club. He's just a freak. I mean, he looks like Terry Crews. Like he's just toned out the wazoo. Just can literally pick up a building if he wanted to. And he can contort his body and make just insane shots. But I just think that Nick's one of the best right now to playing the game. So Nick, wherever you are at, I'm come finding you and Tanner to come play
Props
for me.
to you,
so,
man. That's high praise.
So
That's
yeah.
high praise.
But then 3,
Alex,
I had.
Go ahead, sorry.
Oh, jeez, Louise, can't finish my count.
You
3,
go ahead. You go ahead.
I had the oil man from Texas, Kevin Plunkett. Just a nice oil man. He last year was killing it playing backcourt and wing. He was like, it was pretty much the Nick and him offense was pretty much it. Yep. So if you shut one of them
Big
down,
arm.
it was tough. But
he threw the ball hard. He had an arm.
Yeah,
that's what I remember about Kevin. And he was in it from the beginning, like Nick. I mean, he was full in.
And then I had Fozzie guy at 4, and then you at 5, because people don't. Alex as goalie always went low every time, and I told my guys, I was like, look, he's going low every single time, and they shoot bottom corners, and I'm like, he's saving every single shot. Oh my gosh!
There was one nationals. I think it was 16. Or maybe it was 17. It was our best performance at one of those tournaments. And I mean, I just felt like I had the tournament of my life. I was saving penalties one after another. And we played great. Yeah. I mean, there's no better feeling when you just are just red hot in the goal and you're just guessing right. And you're just they can't
you're not guessing.
You.
You're controlling them.
Fair enough.
Joey, you had a question? Mishi had a question in the chat as well. So
yeah. Hey, shout out to you, Alex, for lesser people would have put themselves in their own top 5, maybe closer to number 1. But that's a servant leader right there, and that's why you are where you're at, and that's why your club is so successful. Because you're selfless, and
appreciate
kudos to you.
So Mishi from the chat wants to know, Alex, what was one of the toughest challenges you needed to overcome when starting the club, and that you think USA Team Handball or other clubs could have made easier?
Thanks, Mishi. I think it's not cheap to make this happen from the ground up. I mean, the equipment is expensive. The goals we got goals. The travel. We got lucky because we had some parents who were into it and believed in us, and they made generous contributions, but we really had to scrounge together the dollars. We ended up getting support from the university financially on certain things towards the end of my time at JMU, but I think that's the toughest thing. I don't know what the bank account of USA Team Handball looks like. And,
it's not good.
I don't think that every team is in a fortunate enough position, a privileged enough position as the kids on my team were, to ask their parents to give us a couple $100 to pay for a hotel room or to pay for gas for the 12-person van, things like that. So I think that probably discourages a lot of people. I mean, I can say for a fact we had kids that didn't want to come to tournaments because they didn't want to fork up the $100 because you're a college student. You don't have, you don't have a lot of money. I'm still a student. I still don't have a lot of money. Yeah. I haven't forgotten the struggle.
The eternal struggle.
So yeah, I think like the financial part is what discourages a lot of people. And I think is what keeps schools from being a group of 12 to 15 guys that play every Wednesday night at 8:00 and a group of 15 guys that have uniforms, that travel to other universities, that have good equipment, that can be a real club and not just breaking a sweat, which is great also. And, that can turn into something else. And I wish more people would play and pick up handball like that. But in terms of what we were trying to do,
Yeah, I think for me with Ohio State, when we started the team, and that's where I was going to ask you kind of what fundraisers you did, but we, if I ask everybody for $50 for a semester to cover travel and dues and jersey fees and gear and stuff like that, I was pulling teeth to get $50 in a semester. And that covered all of our stuff. I made us stay at the Red Carpet Inn, putting 6 people in a room for $30 a night.
Fun.
And nowadays the guys that run the club, they're like, JD, like, we're staying at the $200 a night hotel, and I'm like, oh yeah, because you're using my money. Like, that's why I built this city. God bless you.
You know what? There's something to say about staying at the Red Roof Inn. It's fun, man.
Not the red roof, red carpet. Like, this is this is beneath. It's beneath the roof.
Yeah. We had some fun times at those dumps.
Absolutely.
There's only so many opportunities in life you have to like stay at a crappy hotel with all your buddies and like just really not have a care in the world.
Yes.
There's definitely something to be said about.
Absolutely.
Alex, I'm curious to get your thoughts in this kind of role. Oh, sorry, JD, go ahead.
No, you go. I was just going to ask him what fundraisers they did. So,
what fundraisers did you
do? So, we collected dues at the beginning also. I think we just did like $80-$90 for the year, something like that. Also pulling teeth. In terms of fundraisers, I don't even remember.
Craziness.
I think that we stretched the dues as far as we could, and after that we did like fundraising campaigns. Like, I would type up a letter with a picture of the team and just buy envelopes and stamps and just like be like, take as many as you think you can send out to anybody that you think will send us a check. I paid for everything. Just throw it all in an envelope, sign your name, write the address on, and send it in the mail. I mean, it worked out. I mean, we scraped by, but we had everything we needed. The school kicked in money towards the end. I think they were waiting to see, like,
if you were legit. Yeah.
Legit. But yeah, I mean, cool. Out of pocket. I think, it worked out.
I'd say.
Your question, Joey.
Thanks. I have a kind of a follow-up to that, Alex. What do you think needs to happen in order for handball to become more popular in the United States? Like, what, in your opinion, needs to take place or should take place in order to facilitate handball growing?
Even a series of events. It doesn't have to be one specific thing.
So this is probably going to just be too obvious of an answer, but like, if we were good, like if on a big stage, that would help a lot. And if there was like a name that people could point to, if we had like a handball star, if we just like had a good run in a world championships or an Olympics and you got a bronze medal or just had a good turnout and there was somebody that you could
identify
with and like be the face, I think that would help a lot, because I just don't think it has that from my perspective. I think like, what's going on in like the collegiate clubs, and I don't really know that much about like the adult clubs.
Neither do the adults, so no worries.
You're not alone.
But yeah, I think that, obviously what you guys are doing, what you mentioned with the Boys and Girls Club and the sort of like grassroots community stuff you guys are working on, I think will go a huge way. I would love to see it on ESPN Plus. I don't think that's a stretch. International soccer wasn't on TV really like 10, 12 years ago, and we sucked. And now it's very accessible, and there's 12 American guys on the top clubs in Europe. We're not in the coming World Cup, but it worked for them. They got attention from the media, attention from the public, and people wanted to play because of it. So I mean, it could work. We're obviously not as global of a sport. Maybe global is not the right word. We're not as big of a sport as soccer, so it's not the perfect analogy, but maybe we could follow their model. Yeah. I mean, so I hope that answers your question.
It's a good take.
That's a good answer. Great answer.
Yeah. Is there anything I said, or is there anything I didn't mention that you think would also be effective? Not to turn the tables on you, but you guys are still plugged in. I'm kind of unplugged from this world.
For now, we haven't
Yeah.
already.
I got my fishing line out there. We're just like, we got him.
JD, how about you take this one? I've been talking too much.
No, you're fine. I think for me, there's no home for handball. We had Auburn, which was, everybody say what you want about it. I would say it's not the best home because we didn't own that. So that's where
it's pretty inaccessible.
Yeah, it's middle of, even like even Atlanta's still a good haul from like other major cities, and it was 3 hours from Atlanta. So yeah, it's a bit rough situation, but I think having a home where we can say, hey, this is where we play all our games, this is where we play our tournaments, that's a nice foundation that we can even use as income for other from other events, not just handball, that can fuel handball. So I would say I'm a little personal bias towards investing in an arena. But then, also people want to say, what's the next step? And if I tell a guy who's a professional athlete and he maybe has had enough of that sport, or maybe he's at a lower tier professional, maybe like AA or like minor league or something like that, and he wants to take his talent somewhere where he knows he can be at the top level. Well, if I tell him that he'd get into handball, but he's got to go to Europe, I lost him. But if I tell him he get into handball and he can stay here, then I got him.
Yeah.
So I think, obviously it's tough. The whole professional league conversation's a whole big can of worms that people are like, it's not going to work. It's a waste of time, blah, blah, blah. But if we're not spending too much effort onto it and there's outside resources that want to come in and help make it happen, then I'm going to sit back and watch it come, and I'll see it when I believe it. Obviously, there's people at work making it a reality. So just stay tuned. That's all I'm going to say. Just stay tuned.
Bubbling.
Yes. So it's more than a bubble. It is more than a bubble.
Okay.
So I know John Ryan's going to come after me about that, so we'll see what happens. So CJ wants to know which city I think would be best for my arena location. CJ, you know what that is. None other than the great city of Columbus. It's truly the crossroads of handball in America. People joke like, Columbus, God bless, why would I ever want to go to Columbus? Well, if you look at where the most handball teams are, there's no other city that has more handball clubs within a 3-hour driving radius of Columbus. Not to mention that the cost for land and building materials and facility utilization is much cheaper than it would be in a major metropolitan area. So everybody can hate on Columbus all they want, but Columbus is on the rise. And I'm not going to say, Joey and I go back and forth. We're a team, all right? I'd be just as much for Detroit as Columbus. We could probably get a building a lot cheaper in Detroit right now. So that's but it's still good. So those would be my votes, CJ.
We can get a little embed domain.
John on cue. John tunes in. John tunes in. He wants his business plan. I'm not allowed to. I don't have the business plan, John. It's not in my possession. So when it becomes available, I will get it to you, but I do not have the intellectual property for our lawyer friends here. So yeah, that's that. Alex, I want to know a little bit more about like how you guys created your kind of environment of just the team bond and how you guys stuck to it and just kind of had a bunch of athletic buddies and just how that kind of developed from there. Because that's the tough part, is that you get people that want to play handball, but they're all kind of like nerdy and not really into sports. So how did you guys get, I would say, an overall good group of athletes to keep, playing? You just need some guidance.
Right. Well, when it started, it was, probably 12 to 15 of like my personal friends that I knew from my dorm or that I knew from Virginia Beach. A lot of Virginia Beach kids went to JMU.
Okay.
So I had a nice network, and some of their friends came, but it was originally just like I mentioned earlier, like we had rented a gym space out. This is post intramural. We rented a gym space out, and we were playing, playing one night a week while I was trying to turn the wheels on making this happen for real. And during that time, that group stayed pretty solid. And when we knew that it was going to be a real club, we held tryouts, and we got the word out. We probably had like 30 kids come to tryouts in addition to the 12 I already had. So from that number, we were able to pretty much sort through half and pick the best athletes out. Nobody really knew how to play. So at that point, you got like 30 kids. I got 12 of my really good friends, and I got 18 of the best random athletes we could find. And over time, those 12 friends dwindled down to like 6, because those guys were in it because it was a friend thing, and it was, the boys were breaking a sweat once a week. And once it became more serious than that, where they actually had to commit to something, half of those guys disappeared, which is fine. I can't hold it against you for not enjoying something as much as I do. And they stayed some of my best friends, and some of them would come out here and there if they just wanted to play, which was cool. But those 18 random guys who we handpicked because they were athletic, some of those guys turned out to be with us for the long run. And, you probably lose about half of those guys by the end of the year. And it's kind of just like a cycle like that. We would do tryouts once a year, maybe twice a year, once a semester, and bring on new guys. And we tried to keep our number, I think, between like 22 to 28, because we knew not everybody would be able to make it to everything. We wanted to be able to run a full game. And to just see who could develop into something. And, those friendships kind of just happened naturally. We were playing once, twice a week. I was playing intramural basketball with some of those guys. I had classed with some of those guys. We would go out on the weekends. We'd have like a mixer with club, whatever. Mm-hmm. It was just natural. And the guys that, we like socially and personally connected to stuck around regardless of how good they were at handball. It was just a benefit if you were good. There were plenty of guys that disappeared that we could have used, but they didn't want to be there. And the guy that does really want to be there, that's like a B- player, like so fucking, excuse me if I can't curse.
Oh, the children, but the kids. No, you're fine. You're fine.
So what? They want to be here. They got a good attitude. Like, they're my friend. So yeah, cool. It's just natural, man. You can't force it, like we said.
Yeah, it's a good answer.
Hell yeah, Alex. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
That's a refreshing thing to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the truth.
I had another. I don't know what happened with OBS. It reverted my topics, but I had some questions about JMU then and now. And JMU now has 2 teams. Did you know that? They were competing with 2 teams, which is wild to me to see.
Yeah, it's great.
Other question. What do you know about the I think it's like the chicken nugget review or something? They're doing a once or twice a week, some kind of like chicken nugget review, or I forget what it was.
So we got a place at JMU. JMU is in Harrisonburg, Virginia, which is small town, pretty much.
It's out there.
It's out there, and it's let's just say it's country. And I don't really know.
It's a sweet campus.
Sweet campus. Yeah, and booming. They're opening a freaking like 14,000 seat basketball arena this year. It's crazy. Our team sucks.
But
anyway,
hey, donors.
We got a little bar scene, and there's a place there called Billy Jack's, which is like Harrisonburg's claim to fame. And they have this thing called Sticky Nugs, and on Wednesday nights they're like cheap. They serve them in like a little Chinese food box. Let me see. And this happened after I was gone. This is some of the cool stuff that the guys were doing on social media. host me, which is just great. And I loved seeing it. And they would do, I'm looking at it, they did like a Sticky Nugs player of the week and, gave like a little shout out, like a bio. They would go in for like Sticky Nugs and they'd give like the bio to a guy who's on the team, give him a little shout out. And I mean, that's great team bonding. And yeah, I mean, those, if you're ever in Harrisonburg again, Sticky Nugs are
to get me some
delicious.
Sticky Nugs then. Good to know.
And yeah, they did like a taco top scorer of the week, it looks like. They got taco. I don't know. They did a great job. I mean, I was so
dudes
stoked
having
to see
fun,
Yeah, I mean, they're genuinely friends. Like, it's not just, they're not faking it. You're not going out getting food on a Wednesday night with guys that you're just like playing a sport with that you don't actually care about. So it was good to see.
It's what you want. It's what you want.
One of these days, I'm going to make some friends. That's
yeah,
my New Year's
we're getting there, Joey.
You got two right here.
Hey,
all right. Maybe you could fill me in, Alex, but I tried to reach out to Marzi. What exactly is he doing with the Washington football team? And like, I hate to be the handball, like, whoa, what's the handball plug there? But, is that something that we could maybe tap into of any possibility? I emailed him. He like ghosted me. So I was like, dang.
Yeah.
I'm not on Marzi's level.
I'll shoot him a text.
Oh, snap.
Marzi, if you're watching,
he's in
answer
trouble
your damn
now.
phone.
He's in trouble now.
I think he's in like ticketing.
Okay.
So I don't know how much sway there is at this point.
I'm just thinking outside the box. Like he's with a professional organization. We're trying to professionalize our sport in a manner, I guess. Like what kind of tips or from them or I don't know. So
yeah, I'll put you in touch.
Okay, cool.
And I'm sure he'll be happy to talk to you about it. He's a stud, great guy. And I'm glad to hear he's coaching them. I didn't know that.
So. Yeah, he's doing a great job. So
glad he is.
Joey, that's all the kind of questions I think I had for this evening. So,
Alex, this has been sweet, man. I'm very glad to like have officially met you now. And if I'm ever in Philly, or if you're ever in Philadelphia, or if I'm ever in Philly, or you're ever in Detroit, we'll connect.
Absolutely, and if you have any law school related questions, need any outlines or anything like that,
be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, I mean, they're just sitting on my computer. It's not a big deal to just send them off to you. So,
oh yeah, man,
no worries at all.
Friendships from handball.
Yes. There we go.
Cool.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
No,
this was a good first podcast experience.
Yeah. Like I said, 60 years from now, you remember it here. We only had a lot of technical difficulties. So, but yeah, so cool. Well, thank you, Alex. Any other closing remarks, you guys, before we shut her down? Okay.
Had a great time.
Good. As always, shooters, keep shooting. Boom.
Have a great night, guys. All right.